before cities rose and fell, before empires left their mark on the world, there was a city that existed between legend and truth, a city called Troy. Its name has echoed through thousands of years, wrapped in mystery, poetry, and fire. The story of Troy is one of love, pride, and betrayal, a story that has survived longer than the city itself. The tale begins with the Iliad, an epic poem written by Homer nearly 3,000 years ago. It speaks of a great war fought between the Greeks and the Trojans, a war said to have begun over a single woman, Helen of Sparta. Helen was called the most beautiful woman in the world. When the Trojan prince Paris took her from her husband, King Menelaus, the Greeks gathered a vast army to bring her back. They sailed across the Aegean Sea, their ships covering the horizon like a dark storm. At their head was Agamemnon, the brother of Menelaus, leading warriors like Achilles, Odysseus, and Ajax. For 10 long years the Greeks laid siege to the city of Troy. Battles were fought outside its mighty walls. Heroes clashed, gods intervened. The war brought glory and ruin to all who fought. And when Troy finally fell, it was not to strength or courage, but to deception. A wooden horse, left as a gift, brought doom to the city. Inside it hid Greek soldiers who emerged at night, opened the gates, and burned Troy to the ground. It is one of the greatest stories ever told, a tale of love, war, and human weakness. But one question remains: did it really happen? For centuries, many believed it was only a myth. No evidence of Troy had ever been found, and the story of gods and heroes seemed too fantastical to be true. Historians called it legend, nothing more. But in the late 1800s, one man refused to believe that. His name was Heinrich Schliemann, a wealthy German who dreamed of finding Troy. He was not a professional archaeologist, but he believed Homer's words were more than poetry. They were directions to a real place. Schliemann studied Homer's descriptions carefully. The windy plains, the rivers, the nearby mountains. He searched across modern-day Turkey until he came to a small hill called Hisarlik. Local villagers said ancient stones lay buried there. Schliemann was convinced he had found the site of Troy. He began to dig in 1871. What he discovered would change history. Beneath the surface, Schliemann uncovered layers of ancient cities built one over another, each destroyed and rebuilt many times over thousands of years. Among them was a great city surrounded by walls and gates, showing clear signs of fire and destruction. Schliemann believed this was the Troy of Homer. In 1873, he found a collection of gold jewellery, weapons and ornaments. He called it Priam's treasure, naming it after the legendary king of Troy. He believed he had uncovered the riches of a fallen empire. The discovery made headlines around the world. For the first time, the idea that Homer's Troy was real seemed possible, but not everyone was convinced. Later studies showed that the treasures Schliemann found came from a city far older than Homer's Troy, perhaps 1,000 years earlier. He had found Troy, yes, but not the right Troy. Still, his discovery sparked a new age of archaeology. After Schliemann, other archaeologists continued his work. They uncovered more layers of history, each telling a different story. Eventually, they identified at least 9 major cities built one on top of another at Hisarlik. One of them, known as Troy 7 there, showed clear signs of war, burned walls, arrowheads, and destruction, and its date matched perfectly with the time of the Trojan War described by Homer, around 1200 BC. Could this be the real Troy? Perhaps not the city of gods and heroes, but a powerful fortress controlling trade routes between the Aegean and the Black Sea. Its location was strategic. Whoever held Troy held control of the passage between two worlds. That was reason enough for war. Maybe the story of Helen was a later embellishment, a romantic veil placed over an age-old conflict for power and wealth. But like all good legends, it carried truth hidden inside its myth. And what of the famous wooden horse? Was it real? No one has ever found evidence of a massive horse or statue, but many historians believe the horse may have been symbolic, a metaphor for a siege engine, or perhaps the method the Greeks used to breach Troy's gates. In ancient Greek, the word hippos, meaning horse, could also describe large wooden structures. So, the Trojan horse may not have been an animal at all, but a poetic way to describe the fall of the city. Even today, the ruins of Troy can be seen in western Turkey. They lie silent beneath the open sky, where the wind carries the whispers of an ancient world. Visitors walk through its stone walls and gates, imagining the cries of warriors, the clash of bronze, the fire that consumed a civilization. Standing there, you can almost feel the presence of history, not as a myth, but as memory. The story of Troy has never faded. It has inspired writers, artists, and dreamers for thousands of years. It speaks of the same things that still define humanity: love, pride, ambition, and the cost of war. Maybe Homer's version wasn't exact. Maybe the gods never walked among men. But the essence of his story, the rise and fall of a great city, the tragedy of human desire, is as real as anything in history. Troy may have burned, but its story still burns within us. It reminds us that behind every myth, there may lie a truth, and behind every truth, there may be a legend waiting to be told. So tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine the sea at sunset. Imagine sails on the horizon, the sound of waves against wood, the glow of fire against the night sky.